Welcome back to the Will Studios. Let's talk about Superman for a second. So, they're trying again. They're trying to reintroduce Superman to a new generation, hoping it takes. It really stuck with my generation, I think, because I didn't have too much else. When I was 5 and my mom needed to entertain me, there were comic books. There was a Superman cartoon show that I had on little cassettes, the Fleischer cartoons, which are excellent for what they are. Um, and that's how she would get me to eat broccoli, is because she was going to call Superman. So I was really big into DC comic books growing up. I was more of a DC person than a Marvel person when it came to the comic books when I really started reading. And of course, I watched the Donner films. A lot of people, if you're under 25, I'm going to assume you have not seen the 1970s Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. Uh, I remember when I saw it, I thought he was a bit skinny, but I mean, it's real life. They're trying their best. I was used to looking at comic books where comic books, like I said in a previous video, it's physique porn. You know, you're looking at a guy with the tights are like suctioned onto their body in a comic book. Uh, Here, I'll just start drawing because I'm looking at this baggy costume, and I'm not getting that. It's not gonna scratch the same. He doesn't look as cool. I gotta see it in. How big are his fucking underpants? They're really. They tried their best to minimize sort of the more awkward aspects of the Superman costume, the less timeless aspects of it. They wanted to go with something sleeker, and they wanted to leave the underpants out for Cavill. They tried to minimize it with Brandon Routh, and with Brandon Routh, it just came out looking like a Speedo or something, which uh, Bryan Singer is the director with all those hot tub allegations. Anyway, Brandon Routh had like a soccer body almost. He was very lean. He looked like a swimmer. He had more of a swimmer's body, I guess you'd say. He was like, uh, anyway, he had a smaller S on his chest, and he had S's all over his body. For that costume, they had it skin tight, but if you looked closely, it was little S's, like chain link S's. And it was supposed to be the same Superman from the Donner movies. But Superman Returns was a complete failure. I remember loving it when I saw it at first, just because I was watching Superman on the big screen, and the special effects were great. Um, but it didn't hook the kids. They had already been exposed to Naruto and Pokemon, and Superman's not going to hold up. I do not think this is going to do well. Maybe it'll have a big opening weekend, but unless there's something really compelling about the story, I don't think people are going to want to see another origin. Looking at this suit, I'm going to assume that this is some sort of like Kryptonian spacesuit. Like we're going to get a flashback of Kryptonians wearing like a black and white version of this, and that'll be what everyone like suits up. Let's go into space, like, and they're all gonna have underwear on the outside. But speaking of the underwear, Brandon Routh was the last Superman on the screen to have underwear, and like I said, it was more of a Speedo. This one, does it make him look too boxy? I don't know. I don't like it. First impression, do not like. But Mr. Terrific has like a comic accurate costume because he was designed in the 2000s when we weren't just putting spandex on people with a little design. I think nowadays, if you come out with a comic book and it's just spandex with a design on it, there needs to be more hooks in the story. You know, you can have that, but there needs to be something else going on to draw people in, because people are just gonna be like bland. He's got fair play. I forget why he had fair play. I forget his whole origin. Mr. Terrific, all I remember about him is he had a cool mask. It's just like a T, like plastered. He's like a super genius tinkerer guy who he invented these little drones, the T-spheres, and those are like floating Batman utility belts. So they just do what he wants, and he's like a master tactician style character. So I like that they're bringing him in, because now we're not, well, should it have been Batman? In the Snyder films, it was basically Batman who was keeping tabs on the alien activity, and after the Superman Zod fight, which that was the best scene in that whole Superman vs. Batman movie, was just Bruce Wayne saving people, and you got to see the destruction from the ground. I thought that was really cool. I only ever saw that movie once. Maybe there were other cool parts of it that I thought were cool. The Martha stuff was too stupid, and I couldn't come back to it. And Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor was terrible. Do we know who's playing Luthor here? Let's see here. Who's playing Lex in the new Superman? Will it just tell me? Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult. Is that the guy that played Beast? Oh, I can just click right here. I'm pretty sure that's the guy that played Beast. Yeah. Yeah. That guy. He could be a really cool Lex Luthor. Is he going to have hair, though? Or are they going to make him bald? Or are they going to have him lose his hair? Is he going to be... If the story is good, if they really knock it out of the park with the story, I'll go see it. Who knows? I think the modern generation is so special effects. You can't impress them with great special effects anymore. It used to be that if you would go to these movies to see people flying. You know, in 1978, that's what brought people to the theaters. Was they'd literally never seen that before. It was cutting edge technology to put a dude with a whole green sphere around him and have him in like a harness doing the Superman thing. Nowadays, I feel like we could just take a picture of his face and they'll just CGI it, and it'll look, 9 out of 10. But let's draw, because this is a draw stream. Let's put Brave away. And we can draw Superman. I'll draw Superman the way I remember him. Let's say... Get that classic pose going. And I have not read a Superman comic book in a while, like one of the regular ones. I went to the comic book store and I actually picked up a Superman comic because there's an artist that I follow, Riccardo Federici, who he was posting about working on Superman, and does super detailed, very realistic art, and then he does a lot of painting, oil painting and stuff like that. He's one of these classically trained, I think, kind of people. Pretty sure he's Italian or something. I don't even know if he probably speaks English. Anyway, never heard him speak. Who's the artist? Was John Byrne the artist on Superman? Gosh, everyone who actually knows shit about comic books is going to be shaking their head and judging the hell out of me. I used to know this stuff by heart, and then I stopped caring as much after like 2008 because I had anime and I was filling my head with other stuff because I'm a fucking grown up. You know, sorry. Like, when people say this stuff is made for kids, it is. I know a lot of adults read it. I'm excited to start reading it again, and I'm a grown up who watches One Piece, so it's like I can't talk too much, but I can't be a walking encyclopedia of this stuff and be making my own thing. When I started making my own thing, I realized my brain doesn't have that much bandwidth for just random bits of trivia. I have to like dedicate a lot of my disk space to, does any of this shit make sense? What's coming next? You know, the story. Cause he's a star man. From the stars. Still experimenting with different brushes. Oh, that's terrible. Let's go back to that. Well, I'll just ink it. I don't like 0. Let's go to 6%. Superman's always had a hard time hiding the fact that he's Superman, because he's a 6'2", you know, square-jawed dude. Like, apparently Kryptonians were just perfect humans. Really should frame this face out a little bit before I just go off. There we go. They really have been doing a terrible job with Superman lately, though, with the Injustice was so popular because it was just kind of badass the way they did it all, where they had Superman turn evil. Like, it was so much fun. But then, you know, if you actually cared about Superman as a character, you'd be like, but wouldn't he find a way to grieve over Lois? Because in Injustice, Lois gets pregnant, Joker murders Lois and the baby, and then Superman decides to become leader of the world, Nazi Superman, ruthless, brutal, just taking people out. And it was so cool to watch him just murder other superheroes Like Superman doing the whole Omni-Man thing, that people kind of forgave the fact that it's like, dude, Superman's whole character is that he would do the right thing in these circumstances. Um, and the right thing would be to not become Super Hitler. My 2 cents. That being said, Injustice was cool. Felt like I was taking a little too long on that face, but I was also talking. I'm going to get better at multitasking. Superman's apparently not allowed to have the spit curl anymore in the comic book as part of like the legal dispute with the Siegel or Schuster, whichever one. The state is suing him. I'm not, like I said, I am not an encyclopedia on this stuff. I used to be. If I was 16, if I had a 16-year-old me sitting in the room right now, I'd be like, nah, dude, it was this. What do you mean? How could you have forgotten? How could you have forgotten everything? You don't know what we've been through, bud. You don't know what it really takes. Just a little piece of shit that doesn't know it yet. Okay. It'd be fun to go back in time and talk to yourself. Anywho, I should really draw a way better nose. Mouth shouldn't be that big. And he should be smirking a little bit. He should be. Because that's like part of Superman's whole thing, I think, is nobody really knows how strong he is. He's like, at any second, I could just snap your neck. But he won't, because he's not that kind of guy. Sort of. I always like take a time when it's like whenever I draw anything, I'm also like studying, and my method of studying is like just drawing random lines in places, just sort of trying to explore the shape. And the nose is such an interesting shape. And if you're drawing it on somebody like Superman, you want it to be as like perfect and sculpted as possible. So, in that spirit, let's actually say, here's a line. The line would be more here, because it's coming out. And the tip of the nose. Because our eye line in this picture is about here. Or maybe here, because we're looking up at him. So we'll see like a little bit of that nostril there. And that'll be like where the tip of his nose is. It's been so long since I drawn Superman. And when I used to draw him, like in high school, I was doing the shadow nose thing. Because nowadays, if I can't draw something, I'll get like pissed about it and figure it out. Back in the day, I'd just like draw a shadow. It's fine. But no, I pick my noses. Pick at them and pick at them until they start to look good. Get the face like 80% clean before I move on. Superman, you don't really get to see the whites of his eyes. I'll do that sometimes if I'm like looking around. Do like the squinty eyes, like I'm peering through you, or peering like I'm focusing on a little grain of sand or something. Joe Madureira had an interview. No, Ed McGuinness. Ed McGuinness, when he drew Superman, and he did a Wizard Magazine interview about it, and he said that Superman is always trying to look at a piece of sand on the moon. Like, that's why he's always squinting like that. That looks objectively terrible. I can't wait for the day where someone who like went to art school comes around and sees my channel and is like, you could be like, doing this a lot more efficiently. Like, you're right, dude. Will it cost money for you to teach me? I'm like this close to going to like how to draw comics. I've seen people online advertising it, but I really just feel like I'm going to be doing the same sort of thing, just I'm going to have somebody over my shoulder. I don't know. I'm the most awkward guy ever. I don't know. I really told myself, because back in the day when I did the Suckcast, was the name of my old podcast, and the point was to be like aggressively critical of these movies, because fuck these people for wasting our time. George Lucas, Indiana Jones survives in a goddamn refrigerator at the beginning of Indiana Jones 4. Like, what's that all about? Freaking, you got, so Indiana Jones 4, they're being attacked by ants. What's her face is hanging down, like Indy's got her or whatever, and these giant ants, like this big, huge ants, crawl up, and she like squishes one and crushes it between her thighs. And I'm like, what are your thighs made of exactly? And how many drafts of this movie did you make? Is this, like, is the exoskeleton on this ant so brittle that you could crush it with a pillow? Anyway. I just want good things to watch. That's my whole reason for this, is that I feel like I can deliver it. I feel like once people read release and they see, oh, this guy knows how to make a good story. This guy can actually do some good pacing. He literally came out of nowhere and made one of the best things ever. I'm like, that's right. Because I'm the idea man. I'm the dude that's been missing. I've been doing a tremendous disservice to the world by not working on myself much sooner and becoming the savior of Western media. But I'm arriving soon. I'm here. I've started. And we're going to get out of this. Look, we're going to get out of this. I know you're looking around and you're like, when is a actual good movie going to come out? Because I see these movies and they're good, I guess. I want a great movie. So I autopiloted this S because I love drawing S's. I drew so many Superman S's in my notebook growing up that I could close my eyes. Hold on a second. Hey, that was all right. Anywho. Let's draw the chest first so that it actually looks right. Because I drew his chest coming down here. And I had his rib cage here. We'll give him his classic oval belt buckle. Because his first costume, back in the John Byrne Superman in Action Comics, 1986, year of my birth, the best year ever. Man, I was probably so cute. They should have made a Truman Show about me. Anyway. What was I saying? John Byrne, his mom made him his costume. She sewed it herself. Ma Kent. And so, despite him being an alien, he's wearing a costume made by his mom. Like, that's so wholesome to me, and that speaks so much to Superman as he's written and what he's supposed to be, where he's not wearing Kryptonian armor, body armor. He's not wearing a Kryptonian spacesuit. But they really want to try their best to make Superman cool for the kids. And they think that this is the way. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't even know if it's possible. This is an angle because the other arm, I mentioned before, whatever happens up here is what comes out on the page. I gotta go back to this bottom layer and get rid of the outline here because it's coming way too out. It shouldn't come that out. If I'm looking at this figure, and this is why you'll often see videos about like the box method, right? Because then we have sort of the angle of orientation for the whole figure. And so this arm, this elbow should be like back here. See that? And so let's do that. Let's orientate the elbows a bit better. And since I'm having trouble just automatically doing it, I gotta sit here and pipe out how this forearm and fist are going to go. Is he just making a fist? Yeah, he just makes fists. But if he's making a fist, then his knuckle is going to be what's planted against his waist, and you're not going to see that much of the back of his hand. I'm going to need to bring this leg in a little bit, or at least just the hips in. I remember looking at somebody's arm that they drew where that L muscle that I talked about in the bicep forearm tutorial, they had it like the arm was bent and it came like all the way down the arm like that, and I know it's because, oh well, you know what, I'll bring up that picture. I'm going to talk about it. I'll do a separate, well, I shouldn't call out other artists. I was going to be like, hey, let's do a separate stream, show, whatever, where I'll point out some bad art, point out some anatomy corrections. Honestly, though, a lot of those mistakes, I'm going to assume it's because they didn't want to take a ton of time, and unlike me, they actually produce like professional artwork. But I'm getting there. It's coming. That's another thing, is the obliques. For me, if I don't like map them out a little bit, sometimes it can be hard to like visualize exactly what's happening, because these are the muscles hugging the rib cage. Sometimes I gotta remind myself exactly how it all fits together. See, and now with some random explorative scribbling, I feel like I've kind of mapped out where the, how everything's going to be laid out down here. Now I can come around and make that S. More the way it should be. I saw like a how to draw digital comics thing at one point, and I picked it up because why not? I peeked inside and I saw this guy, and what he did was he just drew it once perfectly, and then he just distorted it around his face. He would just open up the layer, add it in, you know, easy peasy. You don't have to sit there and draw the symbol every time. But where's the fun in that? That's that business mind versus the artistic mind again, where it's like, well, he's gonna make money, so who's right, who's wrong? So here's another thing that happens a lot is the fist. It's like I don't have enough room for the fist, so I gotta bring that arm out. Let's bring it out just a little more. Just a little less. I'm drawing that arm like straight on, like at the camera, because it looks cool. You know what? That's good. I get rid of that line, and bam. Not too bad. He's a star man. And yeah, this is going to be like kind of an underlayer thing that I'm making, because I'm going to come through and draw over top of this again. Should Kate be more like flying up? I think that looks kind of cool. Like if you imagine it, so if we imagine the end of the cape like that. First, let's fix his face now. Now that we have the body, let's come back to the face again. If you look up how to draw a face, you're going to see Loomis pop up. I mentioned in one of my other videos that I just have my own little Loomis thing in my head. Sometimes it's good not to be zoomed in when you're doing stuff like this, so you can kind of get a better feel for how it's going to look over everything. That's like, I think one of the biggest drawbacks of using a tablet is the ability to zoom in. Makes me want to sit there and put a ton of unnecessary detail into something. Starting to look alright. Let's add where his Always wrinkles. Make sure he has a penis. Some artists forget to give him a penis. I don't get it. It's inappropriate for the children. We don't want to see the outline of Superman. Dick! I'm not giving you an outline, okay? It's just a little... I gotta make sure you know that there's something down there. Alright? I'm not thinking about his dick! He's the star... So, we'll make a quick cape layer. Capes are something I'm still working on. And I'll leave it at that. But okay. If he has... Let's put that above that layer. If it's bunched up here, and I have it coming down, and there's not enough like wind present to have it like blowing up. So it would be more like that. And I'll curve it so that it looks like that side's like blowing up a little bit. And really at that point, I guess all I gotta do is like shingle some lights and darks. Yeah, I'll just cheat his cape in a way. I'll just do the classic, like, you draw a little bit of the outside, that outside triangle, right? And then whatever's going on underneath. And that'll be his cape. Simple. So yeah, I instinctively already drew that. I'm going to take it to 10% on the syrup, so it's like a real thick. But if I'm real gentle, it'll be real thin. So it feels like I'm using an actual brush pen. Make sure you give him that Adam's apple, you know. Because he's a star man. I'm gonna start just not stressing mistakes too much here. Since we're approaching an hour. I am slow when I'm talking. I like how Jim Lee does his stomachs for Superman and Batman stuff, where it's just the line for the outside of the abs there. Seal that a little bit. Superman's always got to be jacked. He's got to look, I mean, he can already fly, but when he lands in front of you, you got to get the impression like, okay, I shouldn't fuck with this guy. Like, even if you didn't see him land, even if you're like, he could be a dude in a costume. I don't like to do too many forearm details drawn Superman. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to draw like every muscle in the forearm unless it's a bare forearm and they're hulking out or something. Should be listening to music right now. There we go. Just add a little bit of hatching there in the cave just so you can kind of imagine that I shaded it. Beautiful. A little bit here. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I put things in the underdrawing that I miss in the overdrawing. I'm like, you know what, I kind of miss it. In this case, it's going to be a little bit of shadow here, a little bit more here. Let's put some hashing here, feathered out into the abs a little bit. I would do better, but I want to cap this at an hour. I'm at 53 minutes. Things to do today. Right there. That's the line I really missed, I think. It's that shoulder muscle line. Yep. Back to the face real quick. Give him a little more definition here and there. You really want to only put these lines on the outside of the eyes if it's like old guy Superman. Otherwise, just do like one line. Minimal detail for a nice, like, 30-year-old Superman. Superman's at least like 32. Don't try too hard to over-define the nose so that I don't F it up completely. Oh yeah, he needs an ear. Not a shitty ear. Sometimes in my haste, I forget basic stuff. Whatever. Nobody's paying that close attention to the ear. Just do the important shadow. You're good. You're fine. It's fine. We're 55 minutes. Are you gonna color it? No, but I should shade a little bit. Let's have the light coming from like this general direction. Actually. Just trying to like go darker in the shadows with the blue, and that way I can kind of save time and not have to come in and highlight too much, you know. Just doing this quick. 1.5 minutes. You ever watch Initial D? Need some like racing music. Oh no, 30 seconds. Yellow. Give me some yellow. 15 seconds. Give me a freaking... What the heck is a skin tone? Oh, did I miss it? 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. Hey, I did it in under an hour. I drew a whole Superman in under an hour. Good times. Alright, it's noon. Give this a title, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you stayed for the whole thing. I know most of you left after like a minute and a half. Take care.